Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Our next but last independent team has not been to a bowl game since 1972, but they're hoping to change that with 15 returning starters. They are the Massachusetts Minutemen. So Massachusetts returns 15 starters this season, 6 on offense and 9 on defense. So the defense will more than likely be the strength. I've always thought that, even in a couple years ago, I've always thought that the defense was Massachusetts' strength. But on offense, they will be good. They have Andrew Ford at quarterback and then Adam Brennan at tight end, one of his favorite receivers. And he could potentially be an NFL draft pick next year because he is a senior. So I'm very excited to watch this UMass team and see if they can get to a bowl game or maybe flirt with bowl eligibility if they can get to a 5-win mark. Last year they went 2-10. It was a very disappointing season because I know a lot of people thought they would take a step forward, but they just weren't able to do that. So we're going to see if they can improve on that 2-10 record from last season. But the schedule is very brutal. And you'll see that opening up against Hawaii. Luckily, they get them at home. But Hawaii was a team that surprised a little bit last season, winning their bowl game. And not just winning it, but getting there. A lot of people maybe didn't think they would get there. But they get Drew Brown at quarterback at Hawaii. He's only a sophomore, very talented. Hawaii is also going to be very experienced with 14 returning starters. And right now, I'm going to project a loss for Massachusetts in their home opener against Hawaii. Hawaii, I think, is going to be a much more better team. They're more experienced. They've played stiffer competition. I think they're going to be more ready than Massachusetts. I really do hope for the best for the Minutemen, though. They haven't been to a bowl game since 1972, so I'd love to see them snap that streak and get there. Then they open up against Coastal Carolina on the road. That's going to be a fun game to watch because Coastal Carolina is playing their first season in FBS, so even if they went undefeated, they're not eligible to go to a bowl game, but with it being on the road, two teams that have struggled. Coastal Carolina did not in the FCS, but I think Coastal Carolina will struggle this year in their first year of Division I. With it being on the road, a little bit of a concern because Coastal Carolina is a good team, but I want to give Massachusetts the win because I think they're going to be more experienced and they've played this type of level before. They've played Division I football and not FCS, so. I'm going to give them the win over Coastal Carolina. And then I'm going to give them the win over Old Dominion, a team that I think surprised a couple people last year, winning 10 games, including the bowl game over Eastern Michigan. That was very exciting. But I'm going to give them the win over Old Dominion. They lost a lot of people. The Monarchs did, and I think Massachusetts is going to be able to get a win, especially since it's at home. That's going to help them. So they're starting the season 2-1 and have already reached last year's win total. So that's already an improvement. Then they go to Temple, a team that might struggle a little bit. As I've said before, they lost their head coach, lost a little bit of the talent. But with it being on the road and with Temple still not going to be taking a major step back, I think they're going to get the loss on the road. And this little stretch here is very tough for Massachusetts. At Temple, at Tennessee, and then Ohio, which is a very talented team in the MAC, could potentially win the MAC championship and win their division. At Tennessee, it's an SEC team. They did play some SEC teams close last year. Last year, UMass opened the season against Florida on the road and only lost by 17. It was not as big of a blowout as I expected. It was only a 24-7 loss. And then they played South Carolina and only lost by 6. So they have played SEC teams close. And Massachusetts will play a lot of teams close this season. It'll just be whether they can win those close games or not. I'm not saying this Tennessee game is going to be close. I'm projecting a loss for UMass in this one. It's at Neyland Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in college football. And I'm going to give them a loss there. And then Ohio, led by Quentin Maxwell at quarterback. He's one of the best in the MAC, if you ask me. It is at home. That does go to UMass's benefit. But for right now, I'm going to project a loss to Ohio. I really do feel like they're too talented. And their eyes are set on that MAC championship, which has eluded them for many years. Even though this isn't a conference game, I think Ohio will really need that game. So unfortunately for UMass, they're going to be 2-4 going into the bye week. And then they go to South Florida. And South Florida is going to be so dangerous in the American Athletic Conference. They're now led by Charlie Strong. He got fired from Texas, went to South Florida. And I think that's a better fit for him because we've seen what he can do in a situation. He played with Teddy Bridgewater down in the Big East. So I think this is a better conference, a better fit for him. And he's got a quarterback similar to Bridgewater in Quentin Flowers. Very dynamic, dual threat, can throw and run. It's on the road. This could be ugly. It really could be. Unless Massachusetts defense steps up, which I think they can with 9 returning starters. And like I said, it's been their strength all along. This could be an ugly game. Quentin Flowers, I'm afraid, might run all over the Minutemen. And I'm going to give them a loss to South Florida, especially if it's on the road. I don't like that it's on the road. And then Georgia Southern, another Sun Belt team. They're going to play back-to-back Sun Belt teams here. Georgia Southern's been good for a while. They lost their identity last year. They used to run the ball a lot, and they were very dangerous with that. And then they started passing the ball a lot, and that's what kind of derailed their season and did not allow them to get to a bowl game this year with it being at home. I like that. I'm going to give Massachusetts a win over Georgia Southern. And then they play Appalachian State at home, so back-to-back Sun Belt teams. But Appalachian State is the favorite in the Sun Belt, no doubt, led by Taylor Lamb. They're a very dangerous team. We've seen what they can do against teams better than Massachusetts. Gave some teams some scares like Tennessee last year. And I'm going to project a loss for UMass against Appalachian State. I just don't feel too confident in that. I really do think Appalachian State's a dangerous team, and they're not going to be phased. It's not a huge road game for them, and they're not going to be phased by the Minutemen. And then they have to travel to another SEC team. Back-to-back years, they faced two SEC opponents at Mississippi State. Another dual-threat quarterback with Nick Fitzgerald. Tough place to play with those Cowbells. If they're going to play a team close, SEC team close, whether it's going to be Tennessee or Mississippi State, I would say it'd be Mississippi State. I think they'll play Mississippi State closer than Tennessee. But in the end, it doesn't matter. Close doesn't count. A loss is a loss, and a win's a win, and they're going to lose Mississippi State. And then they play Maine in Boston. That's going to be kind of a fun game. Up in that northeast part of the country, up in Boston, Massachusetts versus Maine. That's a fun one. Maine, though, is in the FCS. They're no pushover in the FCS. One of the better teams, no doubt. But I think they're going to get the win over Maine there. And then at BYU, another dual-threat quarterback. And you can just go down the list and look at the dual-threat quarterbacks they're going to have to face. Facing Tanner Mangum at BYU. Long way to travel. Tough team, BYU. Projecting them to win another 9 games this season. And I just don't think the Minutemen are going to be able to go on the road and defeat the Cougars in this one. And so, unfortunately for Massachusetts, I'm projecting a 4-8 record. They double their win total from last year, so it's an improvement, no doubt. But I know a lot of people did think they would be able to get to that 5-win mark or even get to a bowl game for the first time since 1972. And if you look at any games I think they could win that I have projected as losses right now, not many. Maybe Hawaii and Ohio. Those would be my best bets. The best bets for them to win toss-up games, if you want to call them that, would be Hawaii and Ohio because those are both at home. But I really don't feel confident about either of those. And Massachusetts could surprise. They're very experienced. This is the year. If they want to get to a bowl game, this is the year they need to do it because they have those 15 returning starters. Defense is going to be very solid, and the offense will hopefully pick up the slack that they've had these past couple of years. Don't think they're going to take a step back. Really can't take a step back. That'd be a 1-11 season. Double their win total. Get to 4-8. If they are lucky, they'll pull off an upset over Hawaii or Ohio, maybe both, and get to a bowl game. But I just don't see that happening for now. I see them at the bottom of the independents right now. But I really do wish the Minutemen the best. Hope they can get to that bowl game, not just for them, but for their fans as well. So please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to continue our final 2 Power 5 conference predictions. It's either going to be the Big 10 or the Big 12, so make sure you stay tuned and find out about that. And we'll see you next time on the Gridiron Expert.